Hi students, Mrs. Jarvis here. I am going to talk a little bit today about using the bobsled to find greatest common factor and least common multiple when you have three numbers. Now this is very important because it's a little bit different than using the bobsled when you have only two numbers. For example, if their teacher gave you the numbers 11, 12, and 44. And she asked you to find the GCF and the LCM of those three numbers. You would start out using your bobsled and asking yourself, what is a number or a factor that will go into each of these numbers without any remainder? Go in evenly without any remainder. Well, I'm going to think to myself, I believe that 1 is actually the only common factor that goes into all three numbers. So I'm going to take out a 1. 1 is going to go into 11 11 times, into 12 12 times, and into 44 44 times. Now, at this point, I can identify 1 as my greatest common factor. The most important thing that we understand about a greatest common factor is the word common. It has to be a factor that is common for all three numbers. If 1 is the only number that goes into all three, then it's the only common or greatest common factor. So you have to use 1. However, to continue to find the least common multiple, you'll continue your bobsled. So here I go with my bobsled. Now I know that, for example, the number 11 and the number 44 have a common factor. How about 11? 11 will go into itself 1 time, and 11 will go into 44 4 times. Unfortunately, 11 does not go into 12 evenly. So I'm going to bring my 12 down. Okay, now that I've gotten to the third level of my bobsled, I see two numbers where I can actually find another common factor. So I'm going to make another level for my bobsled. I can take out a 4 because 4 goes into 12 and 4. 4 goes into 12 3 times, and 4 goes into itself once. Unfortunately, 4 does not go into 1, so I'm going to bring down 1. Now that I'm down to 1, 3, and 1, all prime numbers, I realize there's nothing else that I can take out other than 1. So I'm at my stopping point. My greatest common factor, once again, is only 1. A lot of people get confused and they try to use 1, 11, and 4 and multiply these numbers. That's not correct. To find a common or greatest common factor, it has to be common for all three numbers. As you can see, this 11 is not common for all three numbers because it only goes into this number and this number. It does not go into 12. 4 is also not common for all three numbers. It only goes into this number and this number. Therefore, our greatest common factor is our 1. Now, our least common multiple is going to involve all of the numbers that form the bubble L on the outside of our bobsled. We can write this down by saying 1 times 11 times 4 times 1 times 3 times 1. Now, 1 times 11 is 11. 11 times 4 is 44. 44 times 1 is 44. And 44 times 3, well, let's see. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 3 is 12. Plus 1 is 13. And 132 times 1 will give me 132. Therefore, my LCM, or least common multiple, is 132. All right, students, I hope that that has helped you to clear up any misunderstanding you may have had when you're doing the bobsled to find greatest common factor and least common multiple when you have 3 numbers.